Hey, it's Allie, and this is December Daily 2020, day number 4. Working in my 6x8 album. My foundation page, or the page that I did in advance of December, looks like this. It's got a transparent half and then another half that has 2 journal cards that are taped together on the back and then stitched down the side. That concept was part of the product play class this year, and I actually repeated this page twice, so you'll see it come up again later in the month. I love how it turned out. It's a fun way to be able to play around with the transparency. So this was actually a 3x8 transparency that had Be Jolly on the bottom, and use some of the traditional journal cards that were in the kit. If you're not working outside the page protectors like this, obviously you can always do 2 3x4 photos together with the 4x6 on the top or the 4x6 on the bottom. There's lots of different ways that you can play around with that. So I'm also working off the back of day 3. So my total page is going to look a little something like this. The photo that I'm going to use is actually one of my sweet friends brought cookies over and delivered them, gluten-free cookies, to my house the other day. And so I'm using that as the jumping off point for a story, kind of giving thanks for that. It's also, Fridays are transition days here at our house for our kids, and they're going to be leaving us this week to go over to their other homes for the next week. And that is always kind of a bittersweet time for me in some ways. Lots of things go into it. This is what I talk about in my journaling, how I really, I'm enjoying all of them tremendously right now. It's just a fun time, and their ages are 11, almost 12, up to 18, and there's just the dynamic has been really fun, even in the midst of some really challenging issues related to distance learning, which I know many of you out there that have kids are living through that same kind of thing. So I have a little bit of a nod to the challenge of distance learning without going into and revealing the entire story, but also talking about how for us and our family, the sharing of the kids allows for some time to reconnect with Erin, some time to catch up on work that I might have gotten behind on during the weeks when the kids are here. Those are all realities for my family, and your family may look completely different. Your family setup, your family structure, all those kinds of things, or you may be a single person living alone with your own rhythms and routines going on. Either way, you probably have something to be thankful for right now. And I love, let's see, what am I trying to say? I love candid photos. So I take a lot of candid photos, right, of people not necessarily looking at the camera, looking for opportunities to capture people in their everyday life and the ways that they interact with their surroundings. But I also am a fan of a really nice flat lay. So in this case, these the cookies that I had left over from the ones that my friend delivered, I had them on my desk in a little baggie, and so I pulled out one of my white foam core boards and laid the cookies on there and then took a picture of them. And so that is the photo that I'm using for today. Now this photo is going to get adhered to the back of my tag, and you can see here that it's a little bit bigger. It's hard to see exactly what the size is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adhere this down on there, and then I will trim off the excess around the outside of the tag. A couple things to note. I definitely like the repetition of the circle cookies with these circles here. That was definitely not planned out in advance. But one of the things I like about this project is it gives us the opportunity to look for stories, right? As I was even looking around in my office yesterday and kind of thinking about what story I might want to tell today, I thought about the cookies. And my reason why this year is Simple Joys, and those cookies were definitely a simple joy for me. So looking for little stories that you can tell, right? They don't all have to be big, complicated, longer sorts of stories. They can be little things about cookie delivery from a friend, or what movie you watched. There's lots of different stories that can be told over the course of the month. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to lay this on here. Again, this is the back of the craft pocket that was included in the main kit. And then I'm just gonna go around, trim off the excess, and then repunch the holes. And so that will be my photo for day 4 here. Just cut that off. And then for the journaling, as you'll see, I think I talked about this a little bit in the video yesterday, was thinking about how I was going to add my journaling onto this journal card. Obviously, the simplest and easiest thing to do would be to just handwrite journaling directly on there, which is something that I do often. Like I also mentioned yesterday, I'm just really having fun typing up my journaling. That's just kind of what feels good to me right now. So this one doesn't fit in the 6-hole punch, so I need to use the other puncher. And now I'm gonna come back. We're gonna make this multi-punch tool. I'm gonna use the right hole this time. I'm gonna see if it'll go in there. If not, I would use the power punch if it's too thick for one reason or another. But this tool works really well, this multi-punch tool. So just going through punching the holes that will fit with the rings, and then we'll jump back into how I'm gonna add the journaling on there. Actually, what I ended up doing with the journaling is I did print it on vellum. I talked about a couple different options when I was thinking this through yesterday. You could do word strips, you could do stamping, you could do handwriting right on there. Lots of different ways that could come together. Now, one of the things that I am gonna do on this one is I'm just gonna add one of the little circle hearts from the main kit. I love the red coming over onto the second page. You could also add word phrase stickers on there, chipboard embellishment, lots of things that you can use to do a little bit of embellishing on whatever photo you add to the back there. And for this photo, I simply just measured the actual width and height with my ruler, which is one of my most used tools probably. And then that's how I cropped this photo in Photoshop before I printed it on that 8.5 by 11. So then I'm gonna use this number 4 chipboard piece from the main kit. And then you can see I did a test print of my journaling here, and then I printed it on vellum because I think what I can do is just trim it out and basically lay it right down on there. So I'll still have the look of the typed journaling, but I obviously can't run this through the printer. And I also printed this one out with very, very light gray lines in order to trim it. So let's see if I can trim that and still be able to see it. Another fun thing to do, which is also super simple, but can definitely have an impact on what the page looks like overall, is when you're journaling on the computer is to change the color of even just one little word or phrase in your journaling, something that you might want to highlight. For me, I highlighted that a sweet and simple joy, which again brings me back to what my reason why was for this year. So I appreciated that part. I'm actually gonna make it just a little, well, I'm thinking about the stitching part. If you haven't actually put this page together yet, like if you didn't do this ahead of time and you're doing it now, obviously you could print right onto the journal card before you actually put it together. And then, like I've mentioned multiple times, handwriting is obviously always an option. For me, I know that I can get a few more words included on here if I type it out instead of handwriting it. All right, so I've got that there. A couple things. I think that I still want to be able to see the stitching. So I'm kind of deciding, maybe not, maybe it doesn't matter. I think what I'll probably do is just add a tiny little bit of adhesive on the back and then trim this off. I know I'm gonna put that number 4 is gonna go right on there to add into the page, and I'm gonna have it interact with that edge there. So I'm just gonna use a little bit of rolling adhesive. If you have vellum tape or vellum adhesive, that's even better. I actually don't have any in my stash here, but because my journaling is pretty dark, it's got a darker, this is Mom's typewriter font, I can't really see it behind there as well. And I can always run this through the sewing machine again and just stitch again down the edge, which is actually something that I might do just as a secondary tie in there. I'm not really worried about it coming off the backing though. I could also always staple it in place too using the tiny attacher. That's another easy way to add that on there. Okay. So that's what that ends up looking like, and then I can put the number 4 right on there. These don't have adhesive on them, so you do want to add your own adhesive to the back. Obviously you could use number stickers, you could stamp on there, lots of different things to do. And I want it to be touching the edge. All right, I think that is going to work just fine for me. I'm trying to decide, I might still run this through the sewing machine. That's kind of what I'm thinking about right now. Actually, I have gold thread in there, and I probably won't because then that would just be doing another step. But I think that this is going to be fine. I could trim it down just a tiny bit more along the edge there too. That would be an option. I've already kind of adhered it down, so I'm just going to leave it. I'm just going to add a little bit of adhesive there. You can still see the stitching from the outside, so I think that's fine. And then let's see what this looks like in the album itself. So one of the things that I always kind of explain to people as we go about the month here is that one of the reasons why I do foundation pages like this in advance is because that part of the work was already done, right? I did that a couple months ago, and it's nice for me because when I get into this time of the month, I'm able to focus more on the stories and getting in my words and my photos rather than the other playful elements. And of course, sometimes there's more of that that happens as well, and it, you know, regardless of which way you choose to approach it, it will be just fine. I think the reminder that I want to give to everyone is that there are a variety of different ways that you can approach it. You can wait and do it all later on. You can do some of it now. You could have done some of it earlier. Next year, you could do some of it earlier. Like, there are a variety of ways to approach this project. I think for me, I like having some of the thinking done already. It makes this a more doable project for me to embark on actually in the month of December, because I've already taken care of some of the thinking that goes into creating these foundation pages. So there's a look at day 4, and then this will be day 5. So I kind of need to decide, is the back of this which actually that would be a reason to wait on the stitching too, because if I put a photo here, I might want to stitch that in there. And kind of, so assessments for tomorrow, photo, am I doing anything on the back of these? And is it moving into this as a spread versus just a single page? So those are some things that I have to think about, and I might end up moving things around too. So some of these I have an actual day on them, like that one, but many of them are set in here that can be moved around. All right, that's a look at day 4. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the comments, and we'll see you back here again tomorrow.